Hi there, welcome to Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. My name is Hetty the Entrepreneur and I am your host for this podcast conversation. But as always, I'm not flying this plane on my own. I do have my co-pilot with me. Papa Biz, how are you today?
Papa Biz here. No, I'm glad to be here. And today we're going to be interviewing a pitch winner. This is going to be good.
It is absolutely going to be good. Today we are in conversation with Tebogo Mkhonto, who is a really buzzing entrepreneur in a space that you wouldn't think. So I'm very much excited for us to unpack the conversation with her. Tebogo, how are you today?
Tebogo here. I'm good, and yourself, Hetty?
Very, very good. I'm looking forward to our conversation. You're a pitch prize winner. It's not every day that we get to speak to a pitch prize winner. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to it. But before we get into the nitty-gritties of what you do and your business and all of that, maybe just tell us a little bit more about yourself. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Just like your early kind of childhood.
My name is Tebogo Mkhonto, as I've been introduced. I am originally coming from Mamelodi. I was born and bred in Mamelodi. Coming from a family of 8. My mom is from Limpopo. My dad is from Mpumalanga in Bushbuckridge. And I'm the last child at home. So my high school and my primary lifestyle was in Mamelodi. I then went to Tshwane South College in Centurion, where I did mechanical engineering. Then I later got an apprenticeship with City of Tshwane. Then I had to qualify.
So what was it like for you growing up in such a big family of 8?
It wasn't that much of an issue because I lost 2 of my sisters.
Sure.
One was the one that I got an opportunity to grow up around, but then unfortunately in 2008 she passed on, and I was the only lady being left with the guys remaining. We were actually 4 guys, 4 ladies. And then my 2 elder brother and the sisters, they passed on while my mom was still in Limpopo. Then when we came this side, it was the 6 of us. So it was myself, my other 2 sisters, and my 3 brothers. So the other 2 sisters passed on. I'm left being the only lady in the house with the 3 guys around.
Sure.
So that must have been quite hectic, that dynamic for the family. I mean, how was that actually, that experience? That must have been quite hectic.
It wasn't actually that much hectic. I grew up being daddy's little girl, and I always say this, but not in a negative way, that I'm actually grateful that my dad passed on while I was still young, because I was honestly spoiled, and I wouldn't be where I am now because he would literally let me get whatever that I needed in whatever time. But him passing on actually gave my mom a chance to be the parent that she always wanted to be in my life, because she then taught me how to fight. She taught me how to be responsible and how to view life in a different perspective, to a point that she raised us being a single parent, and she only managed to get a permanent job at the age of 60, where she was supposed to retire. And that's when she had to take the entire responsibility in covering the outstanding liabilities and other responsibilities that he was supposed to have catered while he was still in the age of working. But we plan, but God decides at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say that resilience is maybe what got you into or made you interested in engineering? Because, when you think of engineering and that type of field, it's very male-dominated, it's very hard, it's structured, But do you think that having to develop that tough skin actually prepared you for that?
Honestly speaking, I realized later while I'm in the industry, because even when I went to the college, I didn't register or came with the mindset that I wanted to register mechanical right away. My thought and my wish was to become a civil engineer, but to find out when I went to Tshwane South College in Centurion, there wasn't a civil engineering there. Then I had 2 options, where there was electrical and mechanical. Typically, I'm scared of electricity, then I had to opt for mechanical. And then I had to come back. Immediately when I came back, I got a call that week from City of Tshwane inviting me to come and write the psychometric test, because I applied for the apprentice.
Okay.
Fortunately enough, I was selected. And then I went for the medical. I started the program in 2018 on the 27th of January. And then I pushed until COVID came in. I should have qualified in December 2020, but unfortunately, while I was busy with the tasks, there was somebody who tested positive, then I had to stop.
Sure.
And I then had to pop up another 500 to book because we were paying from our pockets. I then paid another 500, then I booked. It was not, when you achieve or neither acquire a specific qualification, you would be that overwhelmed.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I wasn't happy because I lost one of my favorite person that was always behind me.
Sure.
My sister bought a car in December. It was a Mazda CX-5. And then she wanted us to go out and celebrate. I then said to her, you always would like to spend money. So can you rather wait for me to ride so we can combine the two, then we celebrate? Then she agreed. Unfortunately, she was killed on the 16th into the house. She was shot on the head. And then when I was writing my trade, I actually buried her on Sunday while I was writing my trade on Monday. So even when I was called, it was not something that came with that overwhelmed feeling because I knew if she was here, the feeling was going to be more extremely happier or excited. But then I had to soldier on. Then I decided that I needed to register a company that will assist upcoming female artisans since I struggled. As I've said, I did my N2 in 2013, but then I only got my in-service training in 2018. So I needed to close that gap for that upcoming female child. Yes. Then I stayed at home in Jan and Feb. I got appointed at JVR Diagnostic Solution there by Gezina side. I worked there for a year. While I was within that company, I decided to register a company.
Yes.
I didn't have any funds. I didn't know how to start it. I've tried communicating with people, but then it didn't work out. Then I got fired with some planned information because we ended up being in court and I won that case. Then later I stayed at home. Then I had to sit down and analyze on how am I supposed to carry on, neither channel the route to the light that I need because I was within the tunnel.
Yes.
Then I called NYDA. I inquired. Mr. John invited me. I went there. They told me I need to come and attend a training for a week where I'll have a certificate and that will allow me to do an application for the grant.
Okay.
And then I had one client that I worked on his car called Franz Mabula. He then had that passion of assisting with money in terms of opening the company. I lost his contacts along the way. Then I got fortunate to retrieve the contacts. I spoke to him. He allowed me. Then it's fine. We discussed. He had infrastructure secured by then and a few of equipment. He's still into construction under safety officer. Then we agreed that I'm going to occupy the space because I told him that at the moment I don't have funds, but I'm in the process to do this with NYDA. Once it's approved, then we'll have equipment.
Yes.
Then since you have a building for the infrastructure, I would rather come with my business as the skills training, where they will actually do a theory in Tebogo, and then under Auto they will do the practical where they'll do the actual work. Then along the way we partnered with somebody due to finance issues. Somebody came, looked for a space. I actually allowed him because my frustration was we were outstanding with rental for 3 months.
Okay.
And we received that letter of notice that if we are not making any payment at the current moment, then the space will be closed, and whereby my application was in place with NYDA. Then the guy came, he occupied the space. He wanted to do a lot of fraud in the beginning, whereby I didn't realize because I was in that unconfined space where I thought if he is to be there making that payment, that door will be open in order for us to be funded, because I didn't see him as a competitor but as a brother in business that we will grow together. And later on, I remember in one of our conversations, he then said to me, he wants me to sell him my 50% shares in my business. Then I agreed. While I was going to NYDA to sign the contract, while it was approved, my grant was approved. I spoke to John. John said to me, you don't need to sell the 50% to the guy. It's either you sell 40 going down, because if you sell 50, if he is to produce 100K on the table, then he's going to buy you out.
Yes.
Along the process that while the guy was still in that building, while we were in Pretoria West, we then had a misunderstanding this other day, and then I then told him that I I actually deregistered my company because MM Auto started with a good capital. At the moment, I don't have, and now things are not looking good. And then he's like, no, you didn't have to because I'm here. And I'm like to him, if you are to produce 100K as much as we discussed that I need to give you 50%, what's going to happen? He told me right away that I'm going to buy you out. It's better to have something and like to have nothing. Then I said, it's not going to happen for me to build a legacy that you will come and collect along the way, and I should be starving while you are having the rest of it. Knowing that my company was not deregistered, I just had to come up with a plan in order for him to be shifted within the place.
Yes.
Then, unfortunately, he took all the equipments that we had in the building. We had a lift, we had your diagnostic machine. It was something like 16.5. We had your oil filter range sockets. We had your standard toolbox and your trestles, a table, and I managed to secure some of the office equipment. I went back home. Fortunately enough, there was this program from Tshwane that is coming from TIDA. It was for Women in Business Awards. I went there. I got engaged with a lot of people. I exchanged numbers, and then there was another one called NAMSA. I attended. After that one, there was Auto Mechanic in Nazareth. I then went with the mentality of not going to shoot pictures for content, but then looking for opportunities that might help me come out of the closet. I then met somebody from that side, the director of TD and HB. We then sat and discussed. I told him my issues, and then he was like to me, your problems doesn't need money. You only need infrastructure. By then, my grant was approved.
Okay.
NYDA paid on the 28th of July. And then I then went and collected the equipment by, I think it was the 9th, on the 2nd week of August.
Sure.
So I secured that new equipment when the old one was taken.
Yes.
So I explained to him that at the moment my frustration is I'm having a 2-year contract with NYDA whereby they will need to be part of the business. When they come unannounced. So I need to make a plan so that when they come, they find me operating, even if things are not going to be the same as they used to be. But they will see that there's an effort being taken and they would actually see a need to assist more than they did. Yes. Then we sealed the deal. I remember we exchanged numbers. Then we had to set a meeting where he needed to come to the workshop. I didn't have access to the workshop, but I had to force to be in the workshop in order for him to see that I'm not just saying I've got a space, knowing that it's not there. Then he came to the workshop, he confirmed. We then departed. The following day, I went to his space. It was a very big space that occupied something like 12 to 13 vehicles, but with one lift.
That's a lot of vehicles.
And there's a lot that happened. I got outstanding financials that were unsettled, but then I didn't look at it in a manner of cash being taken out of the account, because we agreed that as much as we are partnering, we are supposed to be trading with Tebo.
Yes.
Since there's a contract in place, statements and financials needs to be in place. He didn't have a problem. Then I got funded again from GEP this year in May. I managed to buy another machine that is bigger than the one that was taken.
Yeah.
I managed to buy a laptop. I managed to buy more of the equipment.
Sure.
And then while we were busy allocating the tools, I remember I received a call from Future Families, being the NGO in Fort Plant. I had a mentor that side, but then things were not good. They said to me, we cannot proceed until you are back to business because we need operating business.
Yes.
Then they called me and asked me, how far am I? Then I said to them, I got a space. And then Martin said to me, no, there's a meeting that we are actually planning to have with you in terms of you having contracts on repairing our cars, because I needed that, but then the issue was I was not operating by the time.
Yes.
Then we scheduled the meeting. I went to Ford. We discussed, the deal was sealed. At the moment, I'm still working on their cars.
That's
so
amazing.
I then had to move from Hercules to Coast-Based, that side of Willow Park, with a program called Sosa Your Business by Future Families in collaboration with Standard Bank. And I then had to sit and do the podcast, but then it was some kind of pitching sort of to staff members coming from Fort Plant.
Yes.
Fortunately enough, there was contacts that were exchanged in terms of the pitching that I had. They had interest in the story. And then I remember I think it was in August. No, it was in September. I received a call from a guy called Tapelo inside Ford. He then said to me, they are requesting for a proposal from my side with all the things that I need them to assist me with.
Okay,
so
to assist.
I'm hoping things will look much better. But then, honestly speaking, I don't feel like I'm actually being defeated or I was defeated. But then whatever that I went through, it was a lesson to me that was actually preparing the journey itself. Because if it wasn't of that task of me facing the issue with regard to being kicked out of the workshop, I wasn't going to be strong. And it was actually teaching me again to be alert, neither know or have somebody who's got that information in terms of signing contracts. Because when I invited the guy, within the contract that we signed, there was a clause that was there stating that I should be kicked out of that space. But because of the frustration, I didn't realize that clause was there. Because in my mind, I thought him being around, he's going to assist me to succeed. So I then realized that it's not everybody who would want to help you succeed. Instead, it's everybody for himself, but God for us all.
Yes.
Can I check something with you then also?
Okay.
In terms of, you spoke about, did you say that Ford became a client?
Their NGO. There's
The
an
NGO.
NGO, yes, based in Fort Plant.
Okay. So how was that for you when that came about?
It was a relief, to be honest with you, because even the
Must have been a relief, eh?
Yeah, even the moving part of it. I remember speaking to one of the clients going to Roslyn, telling him that I so wish somebody could come with the money or neither give me a platform to present the proposal that I had, in order for me to shift in that space, because now it was no longer healthy for me, because I was facing a lot of things by myself while the guy is not there. And which it was actually frustrating me, because he got a job. He said he's going to find a job and fund the business. But now once the job was secured, things has changed. He's now focusing on himself being alone in the space, which I couldn't focus more on my mental health, because I had to make sure that the doors are being opened. And the sad part of it is, where we were renting, the owner has passed on. Now the son is the one in charge in space. But then looking at the situation itself, he wouldn't want to understand the challenges that we were facing. But then he wanted money to be coming in. Because I remember there was a time where I had a client that came in to repair the vehicle in the morning. Unfortunately, when he stopped by, the doors were closed. And there was nothing I could do because I didn't have money. When I called the guy was at work, he was unreachable. Then I then had to think of a way of rescuing myself out of the situation, because now it seems like I was caught in the space where I needed to come with solutions by myself. But should there be greener pastures, he was going to come running.
That's also true.
And which was not going to be fair for me to kick him out, because he occupied me when I needed that help.
Yes.
Tell me something. You know, you've been through a lot of challenges, and I'm really glad that you're being very open and transparent in sharing, because I think as entrepreneurs, it's important for us to share the hurdles that we go through. We can't always just share the good news, even though it's good, but it is important for us to share the realities on the ground. I mean, you lost your sister at such a pivotal time. Especially when you were planning to really celebrate your qualification, and then also bringing in this business partner who ended up being a little bit, you guys not sharing the same values, etc. When you hit those stumbling blocks, and when you really, really want to give up, and you have every right and reason to give up, what is that thing that keeps you going and pushing and continuing to persevere in your business?
To start with, I'm actually the chosen ones in the family. I'm the spiritual child. And the business didn't come because I woke up, though I might have thought while I was in college that I need to rescue the upcoming female mechanic. But then it was something that was aligned, neither discussed, before I could be in the space as part and the package of the gift that I've got. Because I remember there used to be days where I would kneel down planning to pray, but unfortunately I didn't have words to pray, but tears were rolling. And when I opened the Bible, there were words that were actually courageous to me, not to give up, but telling me that it doesn't matter what is happening now, but in the later stage,
Yes.
there will be greener pastures. And that's how I used to walk. I remember when we were in church with my mom, I told her that this time I'm giving up because these people has chosen me and they're telling me that I need to go this path. I'm struggling, and by that time, I'm honest, I didn't see anything that they were doing for me because I was in trouble. But I knew they were planning something behind closed doors for me while I thought I wanted to see that happening. Then she said to me, there isn't a need for you to give up because as much as you would want to give up now, you are just a meal away from getting
Yes.
there. So you don't have to, because now if you do, it's going to be an issue. Should you decide to leave, then what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Because I remember, just after I've qualified, I applied. There was this company here in Joburg, I forgot the name. There was this guy who was an intern before me. I called him and told him that I qualified. And then he's like, no, send your CV to this email. We are looking for battery technicians. You won't believe, I just received that call last month while I was in Mesita's office preparing for the application for students' skills training.
Wow,
They
that's
called me telling me that we are actually looking for a battery technician. Can you come for the interview? I didn't understand that call because I thought they wanted a battery technician. When I responded, it was in a perspective of being in business, that in my current business, I don't have any battery technician. Then they said, no, we are not saying we are looking for a battery technician to come and do the service, but we want to employ. Then I said to them, at the current moment, I'm not looking for a job. So things happen when we actually not looking forward to them because we are actually supposed to be placed in a test for us to be considered and checked if we really have faith in whatever that we are doing. Because I've realized that we want so much of progress in a very short space of time, forgetting that there isn't any success that comes out of a blink of an eye. You need to have that perseverance. You need to be placed in test as much as God and the angels are working along whatever that belongs to you. Because one of the ways that are actually keeping me being pushed are, we plan, but he's the one who decides.
Yes.
You might say, I want to go to a meeting today, but then if he is not certain of you being in that location, he's going to try by all means to protect you from that, knowing that there will be something happening while you are there. So the only thing that has been pushing me, it's prayer, to be honest with you.
Sure. I guess, I mean, as we nearing towards the end, I mean, I'd also just like to ask,
Okay.
obviously then you're recently, like where we met you, I mean, that was at the Monetize Your Business workshop. How did you find that experience? Because I know even you'd mentioned that the other person who was pitching was one of your mentors or something. How did you find the experience? How did you find the workshop? Yeah.
The experience was quite interesting because I actually was doing the multiple streams of income, but I didn't know I was doing it. Because this was not the only business that I've been engaged with. I started selling Inuka while I was in college. I remember being approached, told about the business, and I considered myself being a quiet person. Lately I'm too loud. But back then I was so quiet because I didn't understand who I am in terms of the gift.
Yes.
And I always questioned myself, why am I being disclosed or neither not engaging with people, because people will come and gather, but then with me I will find myself somewhere there. Then I realized that with the gift that I've got, it's not everybody who's going to be around the magnet. Some of them will be separated.
Yes.
So then later it happened that I then felt interested in the business, the IMCO business, and I took a risk. I remember I took some of my fees money and bought the equipment. In the later stage, it paid my fees because
Sure, look at that.
they pay you for being a member in terms of purchasing the stock, and you've got another profit on the side that it's meant for you to grab in terms of those products.
When you sell those products.
Yes. So I then learned a way of making money out of that. Even when I decided to step into the auto business, it was not something that I was doubting myself. I knew challenges were going to be there, but I told myself that as much as I am capable of running the Inuka business, the table will still be the same, because it's just a matter of reverting back to your clients, doing your reviews on how was the service and did they like the product, or if there's anything that you need to improve out of that, then you know what exactly to do. So with regard to the workshop itself, I actually got motivated because I then had to view things in the clear picture. I'm actually in a process of finalizing the app as discussed in the pitch, to a point that I wasn't actually looking at it in a manner of running the business with it making more profit, but then considering females in the space, as we are actually being frightened or frustrated by a lot of fault codes on the cluster. That will actually bring more clients coming in terms of one being satisfied out of that app. So it's another way of bringing money into the business, though I didn't look at it in that manner, because within it was actually planned with the roadside assistant services in it.
Wow, that's really good. That's very, very impressive.
Thank you.
Sure. It's amazing. It's very rare for people to be able to engage with a pitch prize winner. And I mean, you've also entered other pitches, you've submitted applications for funding, you've been quite successful in really putting yourself out there along your journey. What advice can you give to somebody who's out there, who's, looking for opportunities, looking to pitch their business, etc.? What type of tips can you give, whether from a confidence perspective or even how to put their business, in the forefront?
Okay. First of all, I would like to say, in whatever that they do, they shouldn't do it by themselves, but include God in the very beginning and learn to go back and be appreciative in whatever that it's been given, neither it's a negative response or a positive.
Yeah.
Then secondly, they should actually consider being confident from the room that they stay in. Because to be honest with you, when I started pitching, I pitched for Nedbank in Mamelodi Community Hall in West. It was not a good response, though I managed to be part of the crew that was selected, but then I didn't make it through the top 3. But then I realized that came because I didn't have confidence in myself. If you are doing something, or neither it's a service or a product that you would want to sell to potential clients, if you do not have confidence in that product or the service, neither yourself, no one is going to believe in that. But if you stand firm, even if you know that negative approach will come towards you, don't take that as a downfall, but go back to the drawing board and look at yourself as a winner at the end of the day, because no one knew how to climb the mountain in the first attempt. So the fact that you are making an application in terms of funding, the fact that you're making an application in terms of pitching and you're not being selected, doesn't mean that you are a failure. Have courage and always have the passion to polish and be in a position that you would actually be that 1% that you would appreciate being the particular person. And always encourage yourself when you are preparing for a pitch. If you feel like you are mumbling along the way, encourage yourself that you've got this girl or neither the guy. I know you can do this, because that's how I normally push myself. Preparing for presentations and meeting, it's not something easy, because first of all, you don't know what kind of audience you're going to get, what kind of energy is it going to be there, but having hope and that courage, neither the belief in the higher level within yourself, will actually push you through. Because I consider this, taking it from my former instructor in City of Swan. He said to us, should we qualify and leave the space of being students to the real world, we really need to knock to those doors. If it means for us to knock with the heads, neither the legs, we really need to. Don't knock and feel like you're being rejected and look at yourself in a manner that you're downgrading yourself. But tell yourself that you deserve to be the particular person that you want to be. And you really need to make that change in order for you to break the chain behind the door that you are coming out of, so that we can be in a position of having families that are living that wealth, not the rich, but the wealth and the affordable life that we would actually want to.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. No, that is so encouraging, and I must say your journey is incredibly inspiring. It's been so great just engaging with you, and I think you've shared so many nuggets. It's been amazing. Papa, what are the nuggets that you've taken away from our conversation today?
I think there's two things that come to me when I'm listening to your story. I think the first part is just the importance and the power of having God along the journey. Because there's so many things that get thrown at us that one would think, can I even be able to handle that? And you lean on to another strength. And then the second part, that's spoken to me also, it's the power of partnership, but more so when it's a partner that is not in our interest. And also being able to identify when that is happening and to be able to make a change. Many times, and I'm encouraged with your story, many times people stay, we've seen in business where they'll stay too long in a partnership that doesn't actually make sense.
Yeah.
And just having the foresight to be able to understand what is needed and what is not required as well. Those are the two things that have come, to my mind. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Gosh, Tebogo, thank you so much. You've shared incredible nuggets with us today. It's been really, really amazing. And being in an industry that is male dominated, and you are knocking those doors, girl, you are pushing them down, and you're making yourself seen, and you're making yourself visible, and you've got a never say die attitude, which I think is really, really amazing. So definitely more grease to your elbows. We are definitely going to share your details within the description box as well. I think a lot of the entrepreneurs are going to be inspired by your story.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
I also appreciate you guys for hosting me. And thank you, Papa, for selecting me to be part of the page. And I really needed that money, hey? When I did the application, I remember I told my mentor called David in Future Families, I'm having the A5, Audi A5, that I'm actually rebuilding an engine now. And I didn't have cash to buy those balancer shaft. And they were like something like 12.5 grand.
Wow.
And when I saw the opportunity to pitch, I remember telling David that I'm going to pitch on Saturday and I'll bring that money home to buy those balancer shafts.
Wow.
And when he heard that I managed to pull through the 15K, he was so happy. He even called me on Friday last week telling me that you've got the ability to get some 15K on weekends. Go and get it again. I was like, not this weekend.
Very good, very good.
Oh, that's amazing. Well done, Tebogo. Really and truly well done. This brings us to the end of yet another insightful and inspiring episode. Really, really great entrepreneur that we've spoken to today. Let us know which part of the conversation you enjoyed the most. Leave a comment within the comment section. And make sure that you tune into our future episodes. That has been Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. Until our next episode.
Cheers, guys.
So bye for now.
Bye.
So we've heard all about mentorship, but are you looking for a physical platform that you can plug into? Well, I've got good news for you. Monetize Your Business workshops in partnership with FNB have been designed exactly for you. If you are an entrepreneur based within the township, then we are coming to you. Monetize Your Business workshops are a fantastic platform where you can get access to masterclasses, fireside chats, networking, and you can also pitch your business for an amazing cash prize, a good boost into your business to help you grow and scale your business. You also have an opportunity to exhibit your products and services to a buying customer base and audience. So if this is something that you're interested in, hurry right now, run, don't walk to www.monetizeyourbusiness.co.za.